get your first customer or two started. And once you've got a little bit of money in your bank account, get the company structure done, because the longer you wait, the harder that's going to be, the more complicated it's going to be, the more customers you're going to have to give new information to.
Let's quickly go through what is the process in a nutshell for creating an LLC, and then what are the ongoing requirements to maintain it?
Sure. So I know we're talking to contractors. So in this context for a contractor, you are almost always going to want to register the LLC in your home state. I mean, that's pretty much a given. If you had a different type of business, like a software company and all your employees work remote, that's a different scenario. We could think about that differently. But as a contractor, you have what's called nexus in your state. Nexus is a physical connection to the jurisdiction where your business operates. If you're a roofing contractor in Virginia, it doesn't make sense for you to register that company in Delaware or Wyoming or Nevada, because you actually work in Virginia. Your clients are in Virginia. Your employees are in Virginia. Your work trucks are in Virginia. Your equipment's in Virginia. You probably have a shop or an office in Virginia. Everything is connected to Virginia. So that's the first thing. Just register it in your home state. It's going to make your life easier in that scenario. Like I said, if you had a virtual business, we could discuss something different. But in your case, it's going to make your life easier to be registered in your home state. Second, a lot of people think, I'll just go on the Secretary of State's website and I'm going to do it myself. That's really just not a great idea, to be honest. We do this for clients. Obviously, I'm a little biased because we do company formation for clients. But to be honest, it's such a low-cost thing. I mean, you're talking a couple $100 a year, which gives you peace of mind that it's done correctly and you are properly protecting your business and your assets and your privacy if you do it correctly through somebody that knows what they're doing, that has done hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of these entity structures before. Instead of you saying, you know what, I really want to save $100 and I'm going to do it myself on the Secretary of State's website. That is not a smart use of your funds. You want to save $100 somewhere, skip Starbucks a couple of times. Like nowadays, that's like not even skipping Starbucks that many times. Like $7 a coffee, you're not skipping that many times. So skip Starbucks a few times, that save $100 a year, not skip on how to properly structure your business. Because if you go do it yourself, we'll use Virginia as an example. If you're a roofing contractor in Virginia and you say, I'm just going to go to the Virginia Secretary of State, do it myself. Yes, you can do it. It is possible for you to do it. But then you're going to come across questions through the application process that you may not understand the right way to answer. And you may not know the right way to do things. And so you default to what you think is the best, which may or may not be the best way. For example, you have to have a registered address in the state where you're registering the entity. Now, a lot of people say, well, I live in Virginia. I'll just use my home address. That'll be easy. The problem with that is you have now made your home address public record for anybody to see forever and ever. It's always in the Secretary of State's database. And that might not seem like a big issue for you now, but 5 years later, you have one of your employees fall off the roof and gets hurt, and they want to sue you. I don't think you're going to enjoy process servers harassing your wife and kids at home, because now they have your home address and they're going to be coming to your home and knocking on your door 100%. They're going to name you personally in the lawsuit because they have your name and they have your home address. They're going to do it. Now, like we discussed before, negligence. They may not find you negligent, but that doesn't mean they won't name you in a lawsuit and you have to defend it. You'll win, most likely, but you're still going to have to deal with it. So using a service to help you register your company gives you somebody else's address to be your registered agent. So if you do it yourself, you're always going to use your address because you don't really know any better, your home or your office. If you use a company formation service like Business Anywhere, you're going to use our address as your registered address. And then if you do get sued, the only address in public record for your business is our registered agent address. And we receive mail on your behalf and we provide it to you. So if you do get served by a process server, they're not showing up at your door. They're not harassing your wife, your kids, your employees, that sort of thing. It's completely private. And your name, your personal name, is not going to be listed in public record. So that's another thing of how to do this correctly. And then I think this will probably be a segue into a future conversation we're going to have, Chuck. But the other thing is to consider is, do you want to have that LLC taxed as an S Corp? So that means filing Form 2553 to elect for S Corp tax selection. So you may want to do that, or you may not, depending on how you operate your business and your income level and that sort of thing. But there can be some tax advantages to having your LLC taxed as an S Corp as well. And then the short answer on, again, I'm biased, but the short answer on how to register the company, you go to our website and take about 5 minutes and fill in a few forms, and that's it. It's extremely straightforward.
Okay. And then, like, let's say that I file an LLC with you now. Do I ever have to do anything again?
It depends on your state. Yes, you always have to do something because you have to maintain a registered agent address in that state. And so if you do use us or somebody like us as your registered agent, in that case, you have to maintain that. You have to pay that fee every year to use our address for your business. And then in addition to that, most states have a fee to file your annual report, and that varies depending on the state. Some states don't have it, a few, not many, but most states do. There's a few out there that have no annual report fee, but the states that do have it, that ranges anywhere from $50 a year up to about $300 a year. So you have to pay the annual report fee. You have to pay for your registered agent service every year, and that's it to maintain the company. With us, we automate that whole process for you. When you create your account, basically you have a credit card on file in your dashboard. And then let's say, what's the day? November 20th or whatever the day is. So November 20th, for example, if you register a company with us on November 20th, November 13th, 2024, next year, you're going to get a notification from us saying your company will be renewed in 7 days. If you don't wish to renew it, please log in and press cancel. If your card on file is no good, please update your card. Basically, we give you a notice that your company is going to get renewed. And then if you don't do anything, then on the 20th, your company is automatically renewed. Our system automates all of that. And so why that's important for you is a lot of times we're actually the only registered agent service out there that automates annual report filings and renewals. And what I've found over the years is what happened is a lot of people, maybe they traveling, they miss an email. The email goes into the junk box or it goes into the promotions tab in Gmail or something. And they don't see the invoice to renew the company. And then maybe a month later, finally, they realize they found the email, or maybe we're calling you going, hey, your company's not renewed. And now you have late fees and penalties and interest due because you missed your deadline to renew the company. So we automate that process. So as long as your card on file is good, we automate it. You don't have to worry about having any late fees, and it's always done for you. If you don't use us, if you did it yourself, then you're going to have to keep record of all the timetable and the dates on that stuff, and you're going to have to log in, pay your fee. You're going to have to follow your annual report, fill in some forms, and then you have to renew your registered agent service as well.
Yeah, I used to be a cheap ass and be like, I'm not going to pay anybody to do this. I'm going to do it myself. And I've filed annual reports a couple times. But now that you guys are handling everything, it's well worth the peace of mind of just knowing that it's done and done properly and that I don't have to do that. Because it would be like an email that I would scroll through and I'd see and I'd be like, oh man, thank God I saw that email because that was a month ago and I have like 3 days to do this. So,
yeah. I mean, it's not like it costs like $3,000 a year or something to do this. I mean, this is like a couple $100. It's not even that much money to make sure your business stays running and you don't have late fees and penalties and stuff like that. So it's pretty easy. When you're starting out in your new business, and a lot of people say this, hey, you should totally just get your business going, figure it out, find your customer, make your product, get your service going, whatever. You can sort out the legal issue later. And to some extent, I do agree with that. But I also need to balance that with the other side is the problem is if your business starts doing well, let's say you're a contractor you're doing HVAC service and you're like, you work for somebody for a while and you say, all right, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do this on my own. You split out, get a couple of customers. And then you're like, okay, I've got to, hire a helper, apprentice now, and you get a couple more customers, a couple more. and it starts growing. And you start out with the mindset, I'll deal with the legal issues later. I'll get the business structure properly later. I'll deal with the finances correctly later. Well, oftentimes that later can be too late. Like you get to the point now where you have a pretty sizable business and you're still operating as a sole proprietor, and then you end up having an electrical issue at somebody's house and you burn down a third of their house and you're still operating as a sole prop. Because once you start operating in the business as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what do you think about? Most entrepreneurs were growth minded. Next customer, next job, next offer, next employee. We're thinking future, growth. We don't think about how do we fix our structure? How do we get the organization right? How do we get our finances right? Our bookkeeping right? How do we do all these things? And this is what most people do. The problem is I've seen it way too often where people, they just don't deal with it because they're always focused on the growth. And it's always like, I'll do it later. So you got to balance it like, okay, fine. Get your first customer or two started. And once you've got a little bit of money in your bank account, get the company structure done. Because the longer you wait, the harder that's going to be, the more complicated it's going to be, the more customers you're going to have to give new information to. Now they're paying Tom Smith HVAC guy, and all of a sudden now they got to pay the HVAC Industries LLC or whatever. It becomes a bigger and bigger headache to make the switch. And then it becomes kind of spiral. You're like, oh, such a big headache to change all my stuff over to the business. Forget it. I'll do it next month. I got too much going on. I got too many customers this week. I'll do it next month. Don't get too hung up on doing it later. Like maybe a little bit later, but don't drag it out because you're going to get yourself in trouble like that. Almost inevitably, you're going to get yourself in trouble like that.
Okay.
Either you're going to get sued or you're going to have a tax issue or you're going to have a money issue or something like that. But sort it out as early as you can.